Welcome to the CCFR Radio Podcast, your source for news, updates, and stories from the CCFR.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 161 of the CCFR Radio Podcast. I'm your host, 𝐌𝐞𝐫𝐻𝐡. Thanks for joining me again today on the show. I'm still sick. It seems like I'm wearing the same shirt and I'm still sick from 2 weeks ago. But of course, if you watch that episode from 2 weeks ago, that's not true. This is a pre-recorded episode. So there's not going to be a lot of time relevant stuff because it's been 3 weeks, I think, since a fresh episode. Really, if you want to be technical about it. So today on the show, you're going to see an entire episode 13 of CCFR Radio on the Air. That's our show that's been running for 3 years, 3 seasons on WildTV. And in this episode, we're going to meet Ashley, who's the guy that's going to take me for my very first bear hunt. Well, very first hunt of any kind, but we're doing spring bear. So anyway, it'll be kind of interesting, and you also get a sense of who he is and the kind of stuff that he does on his new television show on WildTV as well. And the only other thing I want to remind you of is the CCFR's Best Day Ever contest is coming to an end very soon, March the 10th. So if you're interested in donating $25 to the CCFR, you'll get 1 free entry into that contest. If you're interested in donating $100 to the CCFR, you'll get 5 free entries into the contest. The grand prize, again, all expenses paid, trip from anywhere in Canada for the winner to come to Calgary, Alberta, to spend $5,000 at the Calgary Shooting Center, then shoot a bunch of guns in their indoor range. All that's paid for. Then we'll go over to the Shooting Edge, spend another $5,000 in their store, and shoot more guns there. Both of these stores have indoor shooting ranges and really cool firearms that you may not normally get to shoot. So that's all that is included, along with a couple of nights hotel, airfare to and from, transfers to and from, and lunch, dinner, and breakfast, all the rest of that stuff with Wilson and I, if that's what you want. If you're not interested in that, that's okay. I got other things to do, or Wilson does too. But that's what our value proposition is we're going to be right there shooting guns with you. So it'll be a lot of fun. We'll take some video, take some pictures, get that on the podcast. It's going to be a really, really great time. And there's 2 runner-up prizes, by the way, just in case you didn't know, and they are these neon signs. One is these guns are not for sale, and the other is firearm rights are human rights. So big signs. They're awesome. Those are worth, I think they're $1,800, but I think after taxes, they're worth about $2,000 each. And they're not small. They're really nice signs. They're just like the ones behind me. Yeah, they're about the same size as that CCFR radio one. Anyway, make sure that if you're interested in entering, you do that before March 10th at midnight Eastern time, because that's when it's all over. And in the next podcast, I think it's the next one. I didn't look at the calendar. But in the podcast that's after March the 10th, we're going to announce the winner. And I'm going to try to get the winner on the phone, so that'll be kind of fun too. All right. So now, as soon as we hear from our sponsors, which is going to come up in a second, as soon as we come back, I'm editing in that episode of CCFR Radio on the Air, episode 13. So other than that, I hope you enjoy it. If you have WildTV, make sure you catch our TV show there. If you don't have WildTV, at least you got a taste of what's there. And you'll also hear a little bit about Ashley's new show. Maybe consider becoming a WildTV subscriber. So anyway, check it out. A huge thank you goes out to our great friends over at the Saskatchewan Rivers chapter of Safari Club International. They do a lot of great work over there, including supporting the CCFR and the CCFR Radio Podcast. Check out all their great work at SaskRiversSCI.com. That's SaskRiversSCI.com. And thank you so much to our great friends over at Vortex Canada. They continue to support the CCFR podcast and the CCFR. Can't say enough about them. Check out all their great products at vortexcanada.net. That's vortexcanada.net. Vortex, the force of optics. Need a new boomstick? Bullseye North is Canada's shooting superstore and a proud supporter of the CCFR. With a wide selection of guns and top trending gear for any shooter, they have what you need. Plus, free shipping over $250, which includes ammo, or flat rate shipping of $17 under $250. Some conditions apply. Subscribe to their weekly newsletter to get first access to the hottest deals. CTOMS has been a provider of trauma care training to military and police in Canada for nearly 2 decades. Now this emergency medical training is being made available to a wider audience through CTOMS online courses.
Go to CTOMSacademy.com and use promo code CCFR30 to get 30% off. That's CTOMSacademy.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 13 of CCFR Radio on the Air. I'm your host, 𝐌𝐞𝐫𝐻𝐡. Thanks for joining me again today on the show. We're going to share some details about my first hunting experience of my life ever. And we're also going to meet the man who's going to take me out there, who is Ashley Stuckless from High BC Hunting. We're going to meet Ashley, and we're also going to hear about his new show here on WildTV. So that's very exciting. Wilson will be on after for a chat about what it actually takes, what's actually required to save your firearms here in Canada, because I think it's a topic of confusion amongst people. You know, what is it exactly that we need to do to make that happen? So that's pretty important, and some ideas about how you can help. All that and more. CCFR Radio starts right now. All right, we are back. So if you remember from the last episode of CCFR Radio on the Air, you may remember that I was sick and wearing this shirt. I'm not still sick and not still wearing this shirt 3 weeks later or 2 weeks later. It's because I had to record those two episodes together on the same day. Well, it stretched, I think, to about a day and a half of actual recording for all that stuff, our podcast and the TV show. Because I had a death in the family and I had to go to Eastern Europe to settle some family affair stuff, right? So anyway, but all that said, it doesn't mean that this episode, this is more of a generic episode, meaning not time-sensitive current event stuff, but it doesn't mean that this episode won't be as entertaining, if not maybe even a little bit more entertaining than the rest of our episodes. And the reason for that is we're going to talk about hunting a lot in this episode. Now, the topic is certainly meaningful to me because I'm going to go on my first hunt ever. Now, the background, I'm going to try to get this out in 40 seconds, but the background is my experience in firearm ownership and using firearms is not for hunting. I never grew up around guns, never grew up around hunting, never been hunting, never really needed to go hunting in my own mind just because I haven't experienced it. And in my business development career, I worked with the U.S. military. They kind of got me into guns, got me hooked on firearms, and got me thinking about what firearms mean in a free and equitable society and all the rest of that stuff. And I ended up starting a firearms training business with a 20-year ERT SWAT guy, and did a lot of training with U.S. Navy SEALs and JTF2 and law enforcement guys and SWAT people and all the rest of that stuff. So all of my experience is with black rifles, like semi-auto rifles and handguns, right? And I have a fair bit of experience, but it's just that kind of experience. I don't know a thing about hunting. Nothing. I know lots about guns, nothing about hunting. So anyway, all these years I keep saying, I say for the last 10 years, I'm going to go hunting. Oh yeah, this year's the year. I'm going to go do it because I know it's a skill I don't have that I have to develop. And oddly enough, politically, I defend hunters, right? Because a gun owner is a gun owner in my books, but I just haven't done it. And I'll tell you, the interesting part to me is I almost feel like sometimes I'm a very busy person, but I don't throw things aside to go and have this experience. And I'm going to be honest with you, because that's sort of where the fun is. I think a part of me is like, I'm just not looking forward to the pack out. That's what it is, right? I'm like, oh, it's going to be a lot of work just crashing around in the bush, because I do that often for fun. But I'm like, with all this gear on my back, and then I got to pack an animal out. I don't know, maybe if I just fell into it, it would be okay. I'm just maybe not looking for it. But anyway, I made the promise, right? And I made sure that I did this on the television show so I could be exposed as a whiny baby if I don't go. So I am going. So after the break, you're going to meet Ashley Stuckless from High BC Hunting, who's going to be taking me on my first experience. And I've had to get prepared for this because I don't have a hunting license in British Columbia. So I'm having to take my core course, which I'm taking when I get back. I have one trip that I have to do for the CCFR. And then when I get back from that, I'm actually going to take the core course. I'm going to take it with an old friend of mine, 𝐿𝐼𝐶 over at BC Firearms Academy. And they're not paying for product placement or nothing like that. I just think that they do a really great job and they're good people. So I'm mentioning that. So I'm going and taking my core course with them and writing the exam with them. Then I got to get my hunting license here in British Columbia. But anyway, if you need a PAL or any of those things, you can always check them out at bcfirearmsacademy.ca. Anyway, good people. Like I say, not a paid plug, just a plug because they're great. And I have a new rifle, which maybe I'll show it on the show when I get it. I just haven't gotten it yet. It's a �WA 1500 ultralight from International Shooting Supplies in Surrey. That's one of the owners of International Shooting Supplies is Scott Carpenter, who is the current president of the CCFR, by the way. So they're hooking me up with that rifle in 308. And the reason I think we're actually having hunting talk right now, aren't we? I feel like a hunter already. But the reason I'm going with 308 is because I had throat cancer. I still got this lump in my neck, and I'm right-handed, right? So that's where the rifle is. So I didn't want to get, like 30-06 or 300 Win Mag or whatever, something too big, because that's painful. After I take a couple shots with a heavy rifle, it actually gets pretty painful, and that's not going away for years, apparently, even if it ever goes away. So anyway, that's why I chose 308. But I think what I'll do is on a future episode, I'll kind of show the gear that I've assembled for this hunt. And it'll be, we'll have some hunting stories to swap at some point. Anyway, when we come back, we're going to have Ashley Stuckless with High BC Hunting, and he'll tell us all about our plans. Okay, so stick with me. All right, we are back, and via Skype, we've got Ashley Stuckless with High BC Hunting. How's it going, Ashley?
It's going good, Rod. Thanks a lot for having me on.
Oh, I appreciate you coming on. So let's get right into it. A quick introduction to you. You have a YouTube channel. You've been filming hunts for a while. Got to the point where people are taking notice, and now you have a show on WildTV. Kind of, why don't you walk us through that whole introduction there?
Yeah, sure. It's been quite the journey, kind of a whirlwind, actually. It's been for the last 3 years. I just bought a secondhand camera and tried to film me and my friends out hunting together. Ended up being a much larger challenge than I anticipated, but I stuck with it and just kept, working on the gear and working on learning how to film and edit. And slowly it started getting a little bit better. I was a little surprised about 6 months ago when WildTV reached out to me. Didn't quite feel ready, but my whole cheering squad was saying, "No, you're ready. You can do this." So I've committed to doing 6 episodes. They'll start airing in April. So I'm really excited about that. That's seems a little surreal to know that High BC is going to be on linear TV. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's always so much more of a challenge than anybody thinks, right, to produce this kind of stuff. Everybody wants to do it, but there's a lot of work that's sitting there to be done, right?
Yeah, it is amazing the amount of work. I mean, I self-film and self-edit and, self-promote, so to speak. It's kind of, similar to you with sort of having this vision and wanting to build it up. You've put the horsepower in to make something. I'm just hoping as a new kid on the block, I can make a little niche for myself as well.
Yeah. So now you're doing, I think, a half a season, 6 episodes, right?
That's right. Yeah, it's 6 episodes. I just didn't want to overcommit and fail to deliver. So, yeah, I got 6 episodes. We've got a stone sheep hunting episode. We've got a couple mule deer episodes and some bear episodes. So, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to sit back with the family and look at the TV and see something that we created here be shown like that. So,
well, yeah, that's super exciting. All right, now speaking of bear hunts, one of the reasons why we're talking is I made a commitment. It was probably 3 or 4 episodes ago. Can't remember at this point, but I made a commitment that I'm going to go hunting because I'm not a hunter. I owned a training company. We trained law enforcement and did military stuff and whatever. And I've been a gun owner for 15 years and been deeply immersed in it, but not a hunter. I never grew up with guns or hunting. And now I'm going to go on my first hunt. It'll be a spring bear hunt, and it's going to be with you guys. Okay, we had a bit of a technology problem, but we're back now, and we're talking about the bear hunt that I'm going to go on my first ever with you guys.
Yeah, I'm super excited. So we've got a really fun hunt planned. We've got a jet boat. We're going to go pretty deep into the coastal mountains, into, a very, very coveted coastal bear hunting spot. So I'm happy to share the area with you, and hopefully we can have a successful hunt out there.
Yeah, well, I hope so. That would be very disappointing for my first hunt to be unsuccessful.
Well, it's unsuccessful hunts happen, but we're going to work hard to try and make this one be your quintessential success story. So.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to it. And you know what? I'll even end up having a hunting story, right? I can get around a bunch of hunters. I'll be like, yeah, I got a story.
That's right. You can puff your chest up around the campfire and lay out your hunting story. Hopefully it's a good one.
Yeah, I got to get all the terminology and stuff like that, or people will be like, I think this guy only hunted the one time.
Right. Well, that's. I think you're pretty good, so we'll see how we do out there.
Very exciting. So just to let people know what we're doing is our hunt will not be shown on your first season or your half season kind of pilot season.
Right.
Hopefully it'll be in a second season, but once we get that hunt done, it'll be sometime in May, and then maybe sometime in June, we'll have you back on the show and we'll show maybe a 3-minute vignette of it so people can kind of see what happened.
Yeah, well, that would be really exciting. So I'm looking forward to sort of, putting together a little teaser just to, just so people know that we're able to get out there and get after it, and then and raise some excitement for next year's hunts that'll be on WildTV as well.
Well, I'm definitely excited, and I'm hoping I don't make a fool of myself in any way.
You'll be fine.
All right, awesome. So right now, if you're interested in High BC hunting, you can find them on YouTube. Just search for High BC Hunting, and you'll find the channel. And there's all kinds of great content on the YouTube channel right now, correct?
Yeah, there's 60 videos or something on there. So it's fun to, I even periodically look back just to gauge progress. And it's been quite a journey. It's all there.
Well, now it's going to be on linear television on WildTV. So congratulations on the new show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm really excited.
Yeah, and thank you for taking the risk in going out to the bush with firearms with me. I appreciate that.
My pleasure.
And and we'll look forward to having you back on, like I said, sometime in June. And we'll have a little look, and we'll have a story to tell at least. So I really appreciate you coming on. And until then, we'll see you next time.
Okay, that sounds great. Looking forward to it.
Thanks,
Rod.
All right, we're back in via Skype. We've got Tracy Wilson of the CCFR. Wilson!
There it is.
Still sick 2 weeks later, people are thinking, but I recorded the last 2 episodes on the same day. We're wearing the same shirt as well.
I was going to say, you just wear that shirt for weeks on end.
I just love this shirt. I never want to take it off. It is the CCFR Raglan Tee, I think it's called, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
okay.
exactly what it's called. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like an old baseball shirt, with the 3/4 inch sleeves.
Yeah, that was a Stafford Steve design. I love it.
Got Stafford Steve, man. You can't keep that guy down.
No.
All right. So anyway, because we had to do 2 episodes at the same time, we thought we'd use this opportunity just to discuss a couple of things that I always think are lingering out there that should be discussed because some people may not know these things. So to set it up as quickly as humanly possible, if you have taken my request and you've gone to firearmrights.ca or ccfr.ca and you're curious about what the CCFR does and why, you've clicked why join, you go down that list, you see these hundreds of things that we've done over the last 9 years. And it's really important that you understand why we're doing those things. And the reason why we're doing things like that is if you're trying to answer the question, how do I save my guns? It really starts with public relations so that mainstream Canadians who are voters know why people own firearms, know what they do with them. They understand that people own guns for good and sufficient reasons. It's an important aspect of Canadian society. Then that takes them from that point to that affects the voter base. And then if the voter base is affected, then that affects what the government does or what the government deems a priority, or it can even lead to a change in government. And by extension, that leads to regulatory change. So that's the chain that happens, and that's why we do the things we do to influence all of those little parts.
Well, and we always say, like, the easiest way to influence somebody's opinions about guns and gun ownership is to take them to the range. We can spend days, hours, weeks, I do, fighting on Twitter or, going back and forth with somebody. But it's far more effective to just take them out to the range, give them an opportunity to experience what we do with firearms. You have to remember, people who have never been exposed to firearms in their life, the only thing they know is what they see on the news or what they see in Hollywood or what politicians tell them. Those are usually all bad things, right? So their exposure would be negative because it would not really exist. So it's a great opportunity just to get everyday people out to the range, let them see what it's about. Whether or not we can turn them all into gun owners, that would be nice. But at the same time, as long as they stop supporting bad liberal policy, we're going to stop getting stuck with bad liberal policy. So it's sort of, the idea is to create some longevity as well, so that we're not just kicked around like a football every time we have a change in government, right?
Yeah. Well, and oddly enough, I was one of those people. I never grew up with guns. As I was just talking to Ashley about this. Yeah, I never grew up with guns. I didn't have any exposure whatsoever till I fell across it just in my career. But once you've gone shooting, you understand that it's just a tool, and you know all these things that you guys already know. But
right.
Part of our fight is to get that message out there and have people see that exposure so they're not afraid of these things. And one of the best programs we have for that is National Range Day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so National Range Day is the first Saturday in June every year. This year, 2024, it falls on June 1st. So you can go to nationalrangeday.ca. You can find an event near you. But more importantly, now is the time where you guys should be out there doing the work, talking to your clubs and ranges or your wildlife groups or whatever, and saying, hey, what can we do to support National Range Day? Consider hosting an open house or a ladies' range day or a youth shoot or a silhouette shoot. There's all kinds of things you can do. And just invite the community. The idea is to open the doors of our clubs and ranges across the country to let everyday Canadians come in, see what it's all about, give it a try, have some conversation, and just influence their perspective on gun owners and gun ownership. Yeah. And it's really important. I'm hosting one here in Ottawa for the third year in a row, and I think we get about 600 people out to my range day, which is just fantastic. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, super exciting. And if we kind of reel it all the way back, we go all the way back to our goal, which is public relations and trying to get people out shooting or whatever. The very first year that we had National Range Day, we had over 100 events.
Yeah.
And if you think about that, like when I was at Abbotsford Fish and Game Club way back in the day, we used to have our open house and we used to get like 500 people through there.
Oh, yeah.
And you just said at your range you had 600. But let's say it's even just 100 people per event. If we have 100 events times 100 people, that's a lot of people getting,
oh yeah,
moving through, and I'd like to think that a lot of those people, it's the first time they've ever held a gun.
Yeah, that's the idea. It's for people who I know I make little flyers and I pass them out in my neighborhood. It's, soccer moms and whatever, people in suburban Ottawa here, they've never been out to a gun range before. So yeah, it's a great opportunity.
Yeah. So like 10,000 people having their first experience, especially if it's positive, that makes a really big difference to our fight. Mm-hmm. And if we had 200 events across the country, because we're trying to build it bigger every year, if we had 200 and it's 200 people, per event, this is 40,000 people every year being introduced to this sport and introduced to this way of life and to the, to firearm ownership. Really, really important. And at some point, when political parties like the Liberals are not getting the reaction that they want, that they're seeking from voters by beating up on gun clubs and people like you and me, they'll stop doing it, because at the end of the day, they only care about staying in power. That's what they're in it for.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And this is a perfect opportunity to, educate people, influence people, have them out for a great time. I'm ridiculous. I have bouncy castles and cotton candy, and we just have a blast out at my range. It's like a family day. And yeah, it is packed in there. It's fun. It's great.
Yeah. So anyway, it's National Range Day is coming up, first Saturday in June. So
Yep, June 1.
June 1st this year. It's right around the corner. So if you want to actually take action and do something, talk to your range executive. Can we hold an open house for National Range Day? Go to nationalrangeday.ca. There's lots of resources there. Just look through the site, see what you can grab out of there, logos, all kinds of things, ideas.
Posters,
and just get involved. Get a little event, even if you get 50 people through. It's very rewarding, and you'll be making an actual difference.
Yeah, we need your help. Let's all do it together.
Awesome. Nationalrangeday.ca. All right. That's all the time we have for this time. Thanks for the update, and we'll see you in a fresh episode next time.
All right, we'll see you then.
All right, that's going to do it for episode 13 of CCFR Radio on the Air. Thanks, everyone, for watching. I really appreciate it. I've only got you for about 2 more minutes, so I want to cover this. I just want to thank Ashley Stuckless from High BC Hunting for coming on. And I appreciate that he's taken me hunting. I want to thank him for that too. And also keep your eyes peeled for his new show here on WildTV. It's probably going to be really great. And as mentioned, you won't see our hunt in that first 6-episode season. You would see it like a year later. But he's made the commitment. I'm going to try to hold him to it, that he's going to piece together a 3 or 4 minute vignette for us when we bring him back on in June. And I'll tell you, and when I say it like that, trying to squeeze out whatever from him is because it's actually a lot of work. And he alluded to that as well, right? Because you have all this footage, and for him to try to tell that story in 4 minutes, and then without the actual, if the hunt is successful, without that, to leave it on a cliffhanger, and then drag all that stuff out again a year from now for him to produce an episode. It's a lot of work. So I really appreciate Ashley doing that. So as I mentioned, you'll probably see that in June. Now, as I also mentioned I believe in the monologue or the intro, is that the next episode will be a fresh episode. I won't be sick anymore, and I'll have a different shirt on, which I'm sure you'll all appreciate. But that'll be a fresh one. And in that episode, we will have the winner of the CCFR's Best Day Ever contest. So hopefully, and there's no guarantee because it's real life, but hopefully I'll have a recording of me calling the winner and them picking up, and then me revealing to them that they've won $10,000 worth of stuff, and they get to go to these ranges and shoot all kinds of guns they don't normally have access to, and all the rest of that stuff. So that'll be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to that. So that's coming up in the next episode. Anyway, thanks again for watching. As I said, I truly appreciate it. If you want to support the CCFR, you can become a member at ccfr.ca or firearmrights.ca. You can also be a member of the Insiders Club by donating more than $20 per month. That's appreciated as well. Anyway, thanks for watching. Take care, and we will see you in the next one. All right, that's going to do it for episode 161 of the CCFR Radio Podcast. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed this episode of, I guess it was episode 13 of season 3 of CCFR Radio on the Air, our show on WildTV. And you know what? I enjoyed making that episode, this episode, because I did this all in like 2 days, because we just talked about stuff. And we talked about, going to have some fun and doing new things, rather than talked about, the government coming to take our stuff, right? That gets old for me too. So anyway, really enjoyed that episode, and I'm really looking forward to going on that hunt and then getting that little vignette together. That'll be a lot of fun. Anyway, before I let you go, the most important thing is, this is the way that I read the calendar 3 weeks in advance. This is your last chance to enter the CCFR's Best Day Ever contest. Last chance. So if you like what the CCFR is doing, this is a fundraiser. This is why we're doing this contest. This is how the CCFR raises money, memberships and donations and club insurance, I guess, to some extent too, right? But this is how we do it. So if you are happy with what we did, Scrap C21 project, both of them, A and B, the 300 poster packs to gun ranges and gun stores across the country, and the download site and the explainer videos and press conferences on Parliament Hill, and testifying to committees, and 66 billboard project, and the election projects. There's election coming up. This is how we raise the money to do that. And as always, I'll remind you one more time in case you've never heard it. If you want to know what we do with the support, go to firearmrights.ca, Go up to the top, click Why Join, and you'll see the running list. Scroll down to the bottom to see what we've done, even just since the firearm prohibition on May 1st, 2020. Just look at that list and see all the work that we've done. So this is what we do with that money. So really important. Anyway, in the next episode, it'll be a fresh one. And I think if you watch this, as soon as it becomes available, that next weekend, I will actually have come back from Europe, tried to reset my clock for one day from flying back from, where am I flying from? I guess from Vienna. Flying back one day to get my clock adjusted, then I turn around and I go to Saskatoon for the Saskatoon Sports and Leisure Show. So if you're in the area, in the Saskatoon area, you can always come down to see us at the booth. I may be passed out. I may look like I'm drunk. You'll know why. It's not that I'm actually drunk, but anyway, you can check that out. And in the next episode of the podcast, we will also be revealing the winner of the contest, right? That's is the way that I read the calendar. Although I'm sick on a bunch of cold medication, that's the way I read it. This will have the winner. And I'm going to try to call the winner on the phone. We'll see if that works. It doesn't always work, unfortunately, because sometimes people, strange number, don't answer their phone. But that'll be in the next episode, so that's really exciting. Anyway, all that to say, last chance to enter the contest. And thank you so much for everything and all your support and for watching the podcast. Make sure you share it. Take care, everyone, and I will see you in the next one.
This is another episode of the CCFR Radio Podcast. Remember, if you don't stand up for your own ability to own and use firearms, who will? Join the CCFR or donate right now at www.firearmrights.ca.